At the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. A little nervous. All the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the red bomb bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, sake as that star-spangled banner yet waved over land of the free and the home of the brave.
Any professional singer will tell you the range on that song is very difficult. Many thanks, Crocodile. I think everybody here understands that I was the subject of a vicious, politically motivated witch hunt.
We saw it.
And that I was subjected to a Soviet-style show trial in the Washington, D.C. circuit, the same circuit that ruled that the president's lawyer, Don McGahn, had to testify against his client, the same circuit ruled that Hillary Clinton did not have to testify about her phony, illegal emails. It is the seat of all corruption. And when I realized that I would not get a fair trial, that both the judge was biased against me, that the jury forewoman who had attacked both me and the president on social media in 2019, but had those postings where she called herself a member of the resistance on a private setting during jury selection and during my trial, only to delete them after the trial. When I hit rock bottom in my despair, I had a great meeting with Reverend Franklin Graham. And Reverend Graham gave me the best advice you could possibly give a man.
Turn it over
He
to
said,
God.
turn your life back to Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Turn your life back to God. God will protect you. God will deliver you. And folks, I'm absolutely convinced that God spared my life.
Amen.
He spared me from being sent to a COVID-19 infested prison, despite all legal precedents, despite current law, despite the current regulations of the Department of Justice. No, God preserved my life for a purpose. And one of the purposes that he preserved it for was to be here today to tell you the truth about this Senate race and Doug Collins. This is a classic case between a grassroots conservative, a man of uncommon courage, a man who has stood with our president as he has tried desperately to drain the swamp, and an elitist power player from New York State who does not share our values, who when she isn't busy making a fortune in insider trading based on knowledge she gets in the Senate, when she isn't busy using immigrant labor to build the headquarters for the international corporation she and her husband run, is running with Stacey Abrams. This is who I would expected Governor Stacey Abrams to put in the Senate. I'll give the governor a pass because the folks in this state are going to put it right.
Amen.
I've been in American politics for 40 years, and I understand what happens when they get inside the Beltway. Good folks, men and women, get elected to Congress, get elected to the Senate, and then they go to Washington and they get seduced. They get seduced by the money, they get seduced by the establishment, they get seduced by the media that will build them up if they play the game and tear them apart if they stand for principle. One thing you don't have to worry about with Doug Collins: he knows where he came from. He knows what he believes in. He stands shoulder to shoulder with our president for those basic American principles that we need to make this country great again. I feel sorry for Doug having to serve in Congress with Congressman Jerry Nadler, Congressman Eric Swallowswell, and the epic, most, I would say, chronic liar in American politics today, Congressman Adam Schiff. Folks, if it's Schiff, flush it. I can tell you firsthand that they take no prisoners in the swamp.
They don't.
And I thank the good Lord every day that I am free to speak my mind. I campaigned for the president in Nashville on Friday. I'm going back to Florida this afternoon to do one more event for the president. Let me explain to you what's at stake in this election and why we need men like Doug Collins in the Senate. Every 4 years or 2 years, those of us in politics, we always say this is the most important election in our lifetime. But this one really is.
Amen.
Because this is a fight between light and dark. This is a struggle between the godly and the godless. This is a struggle between good and evil. This is a struggle not just for the salvation of the United States of America, but the salvation of Western civilization as we know it. We can have a president who runs from his record as the sponsor of the law that requires the harsh mandatory penalties for the first time nonviolent crime of possession of small amounts of drugs for personal use, that is responsible for the mass incarceration of black people at record rates.
Yes.
Or we can stand for people like Doug Collins and President Donald Trump, who gave us the First Step Act and the Second Chance Act to correct that egregious wrong.
Take it.
We can choose between President Donald Trump, a man of uncommon courage, a man of extraordinary stamina, a man who knows where he came from. Donald Trump didn't need to be president, ladies and gentlemen. He didn't run because he wanted a nicer house or a nicer plane or he wanted to be internationally known. He already had all those things. He certainly didn't run because he was a politician, because he's not a politician. In fact, he's the antithesis of a politician. He didn't run for himself, he ran for us. He ran because he saw what was happening to America and he didn't like what he saw. Doug Collins is not running for the Senate because he wants more power. He's not running for the Senate to be someone. He's running for the Senate to do something.
Amen.
I am so proud to be with you today and to stand up for this great American patriot. Besides that, if I didn't, Matt Gaetz wouldn't let me return to Florida. You have an opportunity to put a bulldog in the Senate. You have an opportunity to put a fighter in the Senate. You have an opportunity to take a man who will take down the deep state, who will expose the corruption in our Justice Department, in our FBI, in our Central Intelligence Agency, in our national security apparatus, to replace those who are loyal to the deep state and the Obama-Clinton legacy and replace them with patriotic Americans who will put America first. This is an epic opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, not only in the re-election of Senator Perdue, a great American who will stand up for Georgia values, but then send Doug Collins to the Senate with him, so we have a team that will fight with this president for the fundamental agenda of reform. I appreciate you all being here today. It's a great honor for me to be in Georgia, but let's take nothing for granted in this election. When I run into supporters of the president who tell me it's going to be a landslide, it's going to be a walk in the park, it's going to be a stroll, don't you believe it? Every single vote will count, because we're up against one of the most insidious political machines in American history, and they've made it very clear they will not accept a legitimate result, that they threaten us with violence in our streets. There is no place for violence in American politics. We settle matters of dispute in the courts. We don't settle them in the streets. We're committed to the rule of law. They talk about the rule of law, but where was the rule of law when Barack Obama and Joe Biden used the full authority of the United States government and the extraordinary capability of our intelligence agencies to spy on the President of the United States, to use what they knew was fabricated evidence to justify FISA warrants, to launch an illegal, illegitimate investigation to undo the 2016 elections? And who had the courage to step forward and expose that for the American people? Why, it was Congressman Doug Collins. handful of other courageous Republicans. Doug, you don't have to tell me because I know the truth. I know the leadership told you to step down. I know they told you to back off. I know that they understood that you would disrupt the swamp. This is why you need this man in the U.S. Senate.
Amen.
Above all, my friends, pray. Pray for a just result. Pray for the integrity of our election. Pray for Doug Collins in this mission to reform America. Pray for our presidents. God bless you, and thank you very much.
Amen.
Drop the stone, everybody! All right, we are ready. We're ready to take it back. We're ready to defend what he's been talking about because I've seen it up close and personal. When you see what they can do, when you can come at it, let me ask you a question. If they could come at Donald Trump, even while he was a candidate, if they could come at it while he was president, when Jim Comey said, let's go in and see if we can disrupt early on, then what do you think stands between you and them? Nothing. I'll tell you who stands right now, though, fighting for America, fighting for folks like Roger Stone and our president, Donald Trump.
Amen.
That's who stands for it right here. So we've just got a little bit left. How many of you are ready for tomorrow night about 7 o'clock? How many of you are ready to see? I don't know, I saw it just 4 years ago. It was about this time the media was telling us. Oh, yeah, Roger, you remember that? 95%. They didn't have the curtains already pulled. They already had the signs up. CNN was doing a countdown to Clinton being elected. Countdown to the day. They had the next photo shoot ready. They were going all do it. And then all of a sudden, they forgot one thing. They forgot the American people. And the American people stood up and said, no more, we want Donald Trump. And when they started doing it, tears started flowing in Brooklyn. And so all I'm going to tell you right now, they made him in tears. He doesn't even get anywhere close. And if you don't believe it's gotten worse, Roger talked about what had happened to him and others. I want to tell you what's happened in the last 2-3 weeks. You know, it's getting close to the holiday season down here. We're going to be able to run off down here and you go shopping. You know how you go into a shopping and you put something in the counter and they get you to come back? You know, they say, "Will Doug Collins please come back and pick up his package?" Can you imagine what happened last year somewhere in a little computer repair shop? Well, all of a sudden something got done and they said, Hunter Biden, your laptop is ready. Hunter Biden. No, we knew where Hunter Biden was. He's trying to hide the laptop because he knew that he worked for Match.com and his only client was his father, who was the vice president, while he took money from foreign governments to funnel it back through the Biden Corporation. That's what we're seeing as it gets unplugged. Now, the media don't want to talk about that. The media's going to say, Doug, you're not being fair. Well, I want to ask you a question. They were not fair to this president. They were not fair to many others. It's time we call them out for exactly what it was. They just wanted to attack our country. That's all they wanted to do.
And you.
And it's time we start investigations. I'm telling you what, the FBI, it's time for Chris Wray to resign.
Woo, woo, woo.
I've been calling on it for several months now. If the FBI can open up an investigation to people riding in trucks with Trump flags around the Joe Biden bus, then it's time to open up an investigation into a hard drive about what happened in the Biden's house. Well, we got a little bit left to go here in Georgia. A little bit more left. Now, I'm just curious, how many of you have ever voted so far? Roger, Georgia's voting right now. But there's going to be others. Because there's a real stark difference in what you're going to see over the next 24 hours. You're going to see in what we've seen over the last 9 months. You're going to see a campaign about those who have actually fought for this country, who've actually stood for it. For those of us who pastored for 11 years, who are still in the Air Force Reserve after 19 years, who went to Iraq in 08 and 09, who actually went to law school to actually go back later in life to actually help protect others' rights, and then went to Congress to not do anything else except fight for this country that I so dearly love. Now, I will say this. Senator Loeffler and her husband are great business people. They need to go back to business because it's time for this appointment to end, and it's going to end out about 7 o'clock tomorrow night when the people of Georgia put us back in. Because Georgia needs a senator who doesn't have to wonder what's going on. You need a senator who doesn't need to put the finger to the wind, to do a poll to say what I believe. I'm tired of a politician. I'm tired of folks here in Georgia watching cue cards being read and little quotes being given. You know, it's time to stand before the American people, because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen here in the next 24 to 48 hours. We're going to win, get into this runoff. And then it's going to be a clear, stark choice in Georgia. You're going to see me and Raphael Warnock and they're going to be a pattern going around this Georgia. They're going to be one, a true conservative who understands that big government is not where we need to go. Someone who needs to stay out of our health care. Someone who needs life. Actually, I'm not sure what a pro-choice pastor is, but we're going to find out. And I'm going to say that life matters in Georgia because I'll always stand for life in Georgia.
Amen.
Senator Leffler has been trying to tell everybody they spent $50 million. Right? $50 million. You know the only reason they need to spend $50 million is called the most expensive political makeover you've ever seen. Yes. You can't hide from who you are, Senator Leffler. The problem is you've been trying to make me out something I'm not. And you know what? The people of Georgia aren't going to believe it. If you didn't believe it, just listen to the crowd roar last night at the Donald Trump rally. You know, for the press here, they've been talking a lot about this race. I'm going to tell you, there's an authenticity gap. It's an authenticity gap. It's an authenticity gap from somebody who's been there and done that. Me and someone who wishes they had because their consultants told them what to say. Now you understand this because I believe in Georgia. I'm a trooper's kid from Gainesville. I was raised in a trooper's household. As many of you know, that guy, he's now 82 years old. Still there. I don't know what happened to him though a few years ago, Roger. When grandkids come along, I don't know what happened to that old trooper. But I do know that 6'2", 250-pound man who wore a 357 on his hip. For me, I understand fighting the law because I fought the law and the law won every time in my household. But when I look across Georgia right now and I look at what's going on across this nation, I saw it from front row of the Judiciary Committee. And I see our law enforcement standing around here, and I know they see me, and many of them, all of them have endorsed me. I've had 40-something sheriffs. Because when I look out, you talk about the difference in what we're seeing in our nation right now. I'm tired of the left. I'm tired of the liberal mayors. I'm tired of the liberal governors who want to look at our police and our law enforcement and say they want to defund them. I got word for all those liberal mayors and liberal governors out there. If you want to defund the police, it's time for you to put on a uniform, put on a badge, put the gun on, go out there and patrol for 6 months. Then if you want to defund, fine. Other than that, sit down, shut up, and get behind them because they're the ones that...
Amen.
We're going to keep fighting because I believe as we're closing out. Roger, we just got off of we're finishing up tonight on a 17-day, 60-plus stop, 4,000-mile tour of Georgia. Now, for part of the time, we did that from the front seat of the family SUV, 160,000 miles. I don't have the plane. That's the other one that's going to fly around tomorrow. I flew 3 feet off the ground, 65 miles an hour because I wanted to see the people of Georgia. And everywhere we went, they kept saying one thing. Thanks for fighting for our country. Thanks for fighting for us. And we're not going to forget. Because I believe here, my voice may be getting weak, but my spirit is getting stronger. And I don't know about you, but I'm ready for an America that's looking up again. I'm ready, like Franklin Garrett, to look up again. It's time for Georgia to raise our gaze just a little bit. It's time when we get into understanding our agricultural community, our urban community. It's time we understand that all Georgians are in this together, that all of our country is in this together. Because if we back up, remember what our founder said. They said life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Do not be fooled with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. When the Democrats tell you they want to give, and they want to give you a guarantee of happiness, remember, they're taking that guarantee from somebody else. That's America. That's the Trump train blowing hard through Georgia right now. So when we understand this, if you just work hard for one more day. Most of you in this room have voted. Most of you out here voted, but there's people who've not. So my question is for you here. Who can you call tonight? Who can you call tomorrow to make sure you get 5 more people out to vote? Who can you maybe take one more sign, put it in the yard, or wave it tomorrow? I need some of you at your voting place. If you've already voted, take a sign today and go wave it in front of your voting place tomorrow. Encourage people to go. Because we still got a little bit of time. There's not going to be a stop in this campaign until after it gets done tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, and it gets a little bit longer, and a few hours roll in, and then that train sound is going to start coming. We're going to see Florida go for Trump. We're going to see Georgia go for Trump. We're going to see down here, we're going to see David Perdue get reelected in Georgia. And then there's going to be one that the others didn't want to see happen, and the swamp doesn't want to see happen. And so maybe even some of the Republicans in the Senate don't want to see happen because the fighter's getting ready to be set. His name is Doug Collins. He's going to be the next United States Senator.
You got it, Doug.
So as we go forward, I can't thank you enough. Lisa, come up here, please. This is, for those who know, The strength in our household comes right here. Lisa Collins, my wife of 32 years. As we've been finishing this out, we've been going all over. For those who know where we stand, remember this. The reason I fight so hard for you and fight so hard for this country is because I only have 3 reasons for running. And they're all here today. They're Jordan, Copeland, and Cameron. They're my 3 kids. Because they represent your kids, your nieces, your nephews. They represent the next generation. They represent generations. To fight for them, I'm fighting for you. Because this country has got to have a revival. It's got to have one of looking up with the founders' hopes. It's got to look up and know that it's not government that will fix your problems. It is us helping each other that helps our problems. It's not about somebody sitting far off that knows what needs to go on in Buford, Georgia. It needs to be someone, a senator up here, who understands what needs to go on. I don't know about you, but Georgia has a rich military community. And for those of us who served in the military, who still serve in the military, it's about time we have another senator from Georgia who doesn't need to go get a tour of what a base looks like, doesn't need a tour of what you need a senator who's already in the military, who's going to fight for our veterans every day of the week. So I got this. Before we finish out, Roger, thank you for coming. Thank you for fighting. Thank you for getting back down to Florida and fight for our president. You tell Matt Gaetz he did good, because Matt Gaetz was up here earlier and he was good as well. It's become pretty clear. If you defend this president, you rather ground those who did. Roger's been fighting, I've been fighting, Matt's been fighting. We've been seeing everybody come in. But I need a little bit more fight for the next 24 hours.
You got it.
Will you commit to me to say, we're not going to let Georgia turn blue, are we, Buford? We don't want to see Joe Biden in the White House, do we, Georgia? And we do not want to see anything happen to David Perdue, Donald Trump, and Doug Collins being your next United States Senator. God bless you and thank you so much.